Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Matt Wordsworth. Child neglect is a growing problem in Queensland. In 1 year, the number of cases increased by 50%. A new report has found it's now the leading form of abuse in the state. Child psychologists say financial pressure on families is part of the problem and want governments to act, but they say community groups could be part of the solution. Josh Bavis reports.
It's half an hour before classes start at this primary school to the south of Brisbane. Hundreds of children are filling their tummies for the morning with a free breakfast. This is one of about 180 schools across Queensland where breakfast is part of the morning schedule.
Good morning, how are you? That's good.
It's invaluable to us, you know, in a lot of aspects. It just ensures that the children are alert, have the energy to learn. It brings the community together.
Everyone's getting in, chipping in to feed kids breakfast and help make a difference in their lives.
But not every child in Queensland is well looked after. A recent national report sheds light on a growing number of children who are neglected each year.
Hi everybody.
Dr. Katrina Lyons has been working as a child psychologist for more than 10 years and coordinates a team of therapists at Act for Kids. She says the report by the Australian Institute of Health and Welfare shows an alarming number of children are suffering neglect.
Notifications for neglect are on the rise in a number of states in Australia, particularly Queensland, or of our interest is Queensland.
Emotional abuse remains the biggest issue nationally, but in Queensland, New South Wales, the Northern Territory and the ACT, child neglect is now the leading problem ahead of emotional, physical and sexual abuse.
Neglect is the absence of meeting children's needs, and so it might be their physical needs, their social and their emotional needs. Abuse is where something happens to a child, and I think everybody would understand about physical abuse because kids have bruises and broken bones, and sexual abuse is pretty self-explanatory.
In Queensland, more than 40% of all confirmed incidents of ill treatment was neglect, at more than 3,000 cases in 2011-12. That's a staggering increase of more than 50% on the previous year. Dr. Katrina Lyons says a number of reasons could be to blame for the rise, including a decline in the mental health of parents in tough economic times.
Depressed parents have very little capacity. You know, they're so overwhelmed emotionally themselves that they have very little capacity to give emotionally to their kids, and so they may not be able to cope when a baby cries all the time.
Act for Kids has made submissions to the Child Protection Commission of Inquiry calling for more government investment in family support programs, better access for parents to refer themselves for help, and improved services in regional and remote areas. Dr. Katrina Lyons says when times are hard, parents must be aware of the effect they have on their children.
We need a greater awareness of what neglect is, and we need more programs that intervene so that children aren't neglected. And parents are assisted to learn how to care for their kids in the right way.
19-year-old Nick Davies was taken away from his mother as an infant. By the age of 5, he had lived in 20 different homes before being placed in the care of his cousin.
I didn't know what was wrong. It was kind of like, well, do you like me or not? So it was very upsetting for me at that time because it was kind of like no one wants me.
He says the impact from those tumultuous years still follows him today.
You go somewhere, you start to trust them, you start to build a relationship, and then next thing you know, it's all gone and you've got to start again. So it's very hard for me to create that attachment to someone and create a relationship with someone because of it.
Now he's giving back to other children placed in care, volunteering at the support service, the Create Foundation. He says his connection to some family and friends while growing up helped him cope as a teenager later in life.
Changing my behaviours and stuff like that helped me a lot. It was very hard to change my behaviours, but it was the support that I had.
Every 17 minutes, an Australian child is abused or neglected.
Dr. Katrina Lyons says financial stress and joblessness are contributing to family breakdowns.
If you haven't got the groceries, then it's, you have a child that may not be being fed properly, but also emotionally. If you're very stressed and you might have lost a job and you can't buy food, then parents will be really stressed, and that will impact on their kids.
Debbie Hill is working to ease some of that financial pressure on families by giving away trolley loads of groceries for next to nothing.
You've got rice, there's a range of dairy products, some great juice down the front here.
Her charity in Logan first began as a bread van about 9 years ago. Now it's helping about 9,000 families across southeast Queensland each year, and that number is growing.
There's definitely a consistent increase in the numbers of families that are struggling. They're just more and more people just can't live under the pressure of trying to make ends meet continually.
Debbie Hill says community problems need a community response.
People need a place of hope and support and encouragement, as well as the food. We give away more hugs, we're listening ears, we do. That to me is the most important, providing places of hope in our community.